Coming up on this week's Home Theater News Review, we have a lot to catch up on, starting with a look at a landmark piece of stereo equipment that was launched 45 years ago this month. Then we shift to current news, covering everything from Sony's layoffs and its disc division, some changes in the micro-LED manufacturing market, new announcements in the world of higher-end processing, and we have a brand new streaming app from the great folks at NAD. We'll also check in on discs, talk numbers, talk movies, and I have a supersized gear deal for you to chew on, so definitely stick around. Folks, today is July 8th, 2024, and welcome to this week's edition of HTNR. Well, it has been a minute. I think our last episode was on June 11th. Did not intend for it to take this long for another episode to come out. What happened is, took a couple weeks vacation. My family, we went halfway around the world. We had a great time, but coming back in this direction and getting back into East Coast time just proved to be a little bit too much for my brain to handle. I was a complete zombie last week, particularly early in last week when I typically record these shows. So I decided to just kick it to this week, and it is time to get things underway. Now, just as a reminder, you can catch this podcast on our YouTube channel or listen to it on Spotify and iTunes. Please subscribe so you can stay up to date. Leave us a review if you have a moment. We also post links to each new show in the news section of our forums homepage over at avnirvana.com. All right, for this segment of The Time Machine, we're transporting ourselves back to July 1st, 1979, and the launch of the first Sony Walkman in the Japanese market. It was designated as model number TPS-L2, and if you were around at the time, you would definitely recognize this player's silver and blue metal case and those really attractive orange foam ear pads that just stood out in a crowd. Those were included with the TPS-L2 on-ear headphones. This player was actually a spin-off of a similar device released the year before. It was called the Pressman, and that was marketed to members of the press. And so basically Sony took the Pressman, stripped away its ability to record, and injected it with stereo capabilities, and voila, there you have the Walkman. Sales in the UK and US actually started 1 year after it was released in Japan, so it was landing right around June 1980. It was first marketed as the Soundabout here in the United States, the Stowaway in the UK, and the Freestyle in Sweden. Of course, those names were quickly phased out, and it is been known as the Walkman ever since. The first model had two headphone jacks, and I think that's really interesting. So two headphone jacks so you could share tunes with friends. I remember that being the case. And it also included a hotline button. This is a button that was on the outside of the Walkman, and it was paired with a small microphone. So you could depress that button and it would partially mute music, and you could chat with whoever you were listening to music with. Now, what's interesting to me is that kind of ability to share. So you have these dual headphone outputs. That's largely been erased with wireless headphones and Bluetooth technology with all the various devices that we use. Though you may remember earlier this year, we were talking about a new iteration of Bluetooth called LE Audio that supports Auracast broadcast, or what we'll probably just know as broadcast going forward. That gives you the ability to share audio from a source device to an unlimited number of compatible devices, including earbuds. So soon enough, that kind of sharing will be widespread and much more pronounced in its capabilities. Now, back to the Walkman, as we've come to find out, it wasn't the first portable stereo device. There was a German-Brazilian inventor named Andres Pavel who had created what he had called the stereo belt back in 1972. So just about 7 years prior, he went around and filed a bunch of patents for it in multiple countries, and that resulted in a windfall of royalties from Sony as they were selling the Walkman. And ultimately, in the 2000s, he wanted to be known as the creator of that Walkman kind of device. Wanted to be officially recognized, and he ended up in a settlement with Sony. Old Andres, he made some money off that one. Now, with some of these older technologies that we visited on the Time Machine, pricing has often been shocking me. Some of the early TVs were the equivalent of what is about 10 to 15 grand these days. Now, when the Walkman hit US streets, it actually had a price tag of $150. Pretty reasonable, I'd say. That lands at somewhere in the $500 to $550 range in today's money. So, considering these devices that we carry around, these cell phones, how expensive they are, the portability that a Walkman gave you was unprecedented. So, I'm thinking $500 for the technology coming from Sony actually wasn't that crazy. But here is a crazy number. Over its many iterations, including formats like mini disc, Walkman branded products have accounted for some 400 million units sold. All right, back to the future and the here and now. We have some interesting news coming out of Sony, and this is reported by Rasmus Larsen at Flat Panels HD. The company is cutting 250 jobs and will eventually cease production of some optical disc products. According to several different media outlets in Japan, Sony is beginning to phase out production of optical discs, and that includes formats like Blu-rays, but we're primarily talking about recordable media here. So it sounds like for the time being, it appears that Blu-ray and 4K Blu-ray movie discs won't be affected, though this move is notable and something to keep an eye on. We're definitely standing at an edge of a physical media cliff at the moment here, folks, and market demands are pushing us closer and closer to streaming and server-based services. Flat Panels HD is also reporting that two of the largest display manufacturers, that would be Samsung and LG, are beginning to second guess heavy investments in micro LED displays. And I've talked about the differences between micro LED and mini LED, which, mini LED is a backlighting technology used in LCD panels. Micro LED is more akin to OLED, where it's an emissive technology consisting of individual LED pixels that can be turned on and off. And the advantage is infinite blacks because those pixels can be turned on and off. You also get extremely high levels of brightness as compared to what OLED is capable of offering. And micro LED has found its way to popularity in extremely large format screens. And we've covered this at shows like CEDIA and CES over the years. And these are screens that are created using lots of different small panels that are connected together. Now, the challenge has been scaling that technology to smaller display sizes. And we've seen some smaller versions hit the market. For example, we have Samsung's 110-inch micro LED TV that has been launched this year, but price tags on these smaller micro LED TV products are really super high. We're talking about up into the 100K territory, and it's looking like mass production of even smaller sizes is going to have to wait for years down the road. So LG and Samsung are pulling back on the reins just a bit, and we'll need to find some patience as engineers continue to incubate that technology. Now, this isn't to say that micro LED is going away. If anything, large format micro LED products are picking up steam and in a big way. And look, I hate to say it because I love my projector, but projector manufacturers have got to be looking over their shoulders with great concern right now. From a cost perspective, projection still has the market cornered. And, from my perspective, I still think it has a nice advantage for dark home theater environments because it allows you to place speakers directly behind an acoustically transparent screen. But the advantages of micro LED are huge. It's scalable. It's easy to get it in and out of a room because it comes in these small tiles that are connected together. And of course, when it comes to bright room performance, it just blows away anything that a projector can do. Now, I touched a little bit on audio and having speakers placed behind an acoustically transparent screen. Well, Folks are working on audio solutions to accommodate large micro LED screens, and one of those companies is StormAudio, which is currently looking for beta testers for a new firmware update that includes something called Center Shift, which is a DSP-based technology that helps position the audible location of a phantom audio image in the center of a micro LED or non-acoustically transparent screen using room's front 3 channels, those being your right, center, and left main speakers. So Storm is obviously attacking a need of higher end installers with this kind of technology, but we all know how this goes. Companies at the top innovate and others eventually copy. So hopefully this is a technology that works its way down the chain and ultimately begins to find its way into more consumer-oriented products from the larger manufacturers. Speaking of Storm, it has also recently announced that Dirac Live active room treatment, along with a host of other technologies found on Storm processors, such as the Storm Easy Setup Wizard, which I really like a lot. That's a great addition by them to their equipment. Also Storm XT, those are now available to owners of the Bryston SP4 and the Focal Astral 16 as part of a paid license. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first appearance of active room treatment from Dirac on anything other than a Storm processor. If you're not familiar with active room treatment, or what we call ART, well, basically it's a Dirac technology that calibrates speakers as a unified system, using each speaker to work in unison to reduce room decay by canceling out lingering bass. And the end result, as I've heard in several professionally calibrated rooms, is bass that is super tight and punchy, and responses by the user community so far indicate that this is a really big hit. Now, I've tried this in my own home theater room with a little bit less success than I've heard on other systems, and I found that I actually still prefer the results of Dirac's bass control module in my particular room, but from what Matthew Trinkline at StormAudio has told me, just about 98% of their customers prefer ART calibrations to calibrations that use bass control. Now, speaking of Dirac, it recently announced a new partnership with the great folks over at BlueSound that integrates Dirac Live room correction into future BlueSound gear. Basically, what this means is new BlueSound gear that's coming out, that's purchased, those buyers will have a chance to go over to Dirac's website and purchase a license separately that unlocks Dirac Live on whatever they've purchased. Now, if you are a current owner of a BlueSound device, it's unclear as to whether or not Dirac Live will become available to you, but they say they're studying it, and rollout plans for eligible models will come out at a later date. In terms of what version of Dirac Live will be available, I believe it's only the full Dirac Live suite, which will probably run you right around $99 to purchase. So nothing too bad, and Dirac is totally worth it. Definitely can make your system sound better. So I think that $99 is an easy purchase to recommend. BlueSound says that a calibration kit will be made available for sale on its website when the first enabled BlueSound player becomes available. I'll drop a link down in the show notes to a page where you can sign up to be notified once Dirac and BlueSound officially launch. Also, in the world of high-end processing, our friends at Trinnov have now released 9 exclusive trailers in Dolby Atmos, Auro 3D, and DCP, or Digital Cinema Package, which is a standard format for large commercial digital cinemas. In its most recent 9th release, Trinnov gives us a short called The Repeater. You can download all of these trailers at Trinnov, or just look down in the show notes and follow the link. NAD is replacing its C700 BlueOS streaming amplifier with the C700 V2. You'll find several notable upgrades with the new model, including a new and improved ESS Saber DAC, a moving magnetic phono input, Dolby digital decoding, Dirac Live readiness, and an infrared remote control. This is all built into a package that offers 80 watts of output per channel and the ability to run BlueOS-enabled wireless rear channels channels and a wired subwoofer for 4.1 Dolby Digital surround sound. You can look for the C700 V2 to drop in August for $1,600. And last but not least, check out our latest HDMI test bench review series where we take THX's new interconnect HDMI cables for a spin and a 3-part video review. These are the cables that are manufactured in coordination with Pixelgen Design, which is Jack McDougall's outfit up in Canada. And I've really enjoyed getting to know Jack over the last few years. A super nice guy, insanely knowledgeable about the world of HDMI. So this is a great marriage, having THX and Pixelgen get together to push out some really, really great cables. In the series, we give you all sorts of physical measurements of the cables, including things like static bend radius and how much wiggle room the cables give you between a component and a wall. We also use Meridio's AK Fox and Hound test kit to take a close look at what kind of data the cables can pass, and we perform real-world tests with a variety of devices to confirm connection stability, hot plugging, all those sorts of things. So check down in the show notes for links and go give those a watch. All right, since we last checked in with our review critic, Michael Scott, over on avnirvana.com, he has been a very busy guy. He's released reviews of both Welcome Back, Kotter and Manifest. That's the complete series, both on DVD. And how fitting for Welcome Back, Kotter to be released on DVD. That's exactly where that show belongs. Michael has also reviewed Chinatown, Anchorman, American Fiction, Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire, South Park, Team America, and Twister. And I believe all of those are on 4K with the exception of American Fiction. That was a Blu-ray review. And he has also reviewed The First Omen on 4K digital. So definitely head over to our homepage and check those out. You'll see his last 5 reviews on the left side of our homepage screen. And if you just click on his movie review link at the very top, it'll take you right to a complete list of all of his reviews, and you can check them all out. They're really great. He's such a great reviewer. We're really blessed to have him over at avnirvana.com. In terms of disc releases this week, there are some big ones, and it's headlined by Civil War that's hitting on both Blu-ray and 4K. I just saw that for the first time on my Kaleidoscape system this past weekend and enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. So that is definitely one that you should stick on your list. Other notable releases, we have Twister, both on Blu-ray and 4K. The horror film Abigail is hitting on Blu-ray only. I believe that has been released on 4K on Kaleidoscape. We also have Boy Kills World and the release of Dolph Lundgren's 1990 film Dark Angel. So definitely run to the store for that. Speaking of Kaleidoscape, some new releases on the Kscape system. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is out now. The Idea of You, also The Watchers and Boneyard, all of those are available for purchase right now in 4K. Kscape is also hosting some great sales at the moment. They have their Summer Scares sale series, which is a whole bunch of horror films. I noted that The First Omen is in there in 4K for just $14.99. They also have their July savings, which is just loaded with every single kind of title that you should have on your system. We're talking about some really great movies. Just a few examples here. Oblivion, Forrest Gump, 13 Hours, Patriots Day, Almost Famous, one of my favorite movies. I just love that one. A Bridge Too Far, another movie that I have watched many, many times in my life. And the list just goes on and on and on. So definitely head over to kaleidoscape.com to check out what they have to offer. Now, on to disc sales. Let's see what's happening here. The old pie chart is showing me that DVD sales are still accounting for right around 70% of sales in the current market, which is just blows my mind with all of the amazing TVs, 4K TVs that are being purchased by everyone out there, you would think that that would not be the case, but it is. Speaking of 4K, 4K UHD is accounting for about 11.5% of disc sales, and Blu-rays hanging in there right around 19%. Now, to take a look at what is selling right now in terms of discs, Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire is sitting firmly at number 1. Dune Part 2 is number 2. We have The Beekeeper slotted in at number 3, and I'm really, really surprised by that. It's just not that good of a movie, and that Beekeeper has been hanging around in the top 5 for a long time. We have a new entry at number 4. We have Chinatown. And at number 5, Bluey Season 3. And just looking down the list here, a lot of, the usual suspects. We have Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom at number 7. The Hunger Game, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes at 8. Yada, yada, yada. Heading on down. Oppenheimer has slipped all the way down to number 19 in terms of overall sales. Now let's take a look at the 4K charts specifically. So in terms of 4K, it's really surprising here. Dune Part 2, it slipped to number 4. I thought that one was going to be totally dug in at number 1 for a long time. Was totally wrong on that. Here at 4K discs, we have Godzilla x Kong. That is sitting right at the top. Chinatown is at number 2. RoboCop 2 sitting at number 3, and Bound, that's a new entry from Criterion, that is sitting at number 4. And here on the 4K disc chart, Oppenheimer still hanging in there at number 6. So that one has had some serious staying power. I know in our last podcast, we saw Barbie kind of making a little bit of a comeback, and Barbie is now completely out of the top 20. Now, in terms of what is being watched on streaming, we've got Independence Day, and that is no big surprise there. Independence Day sitting at number 1 because we just passed through July 4th. And, it's funny. I remember Independence Day being released. This was probably back in 1996, 1997. At the time, I was living down in Washington, D.C. in Cleveland Park, and anyone from this area knows that the Uptown Theater, which is this grand old theater, I believe it is now closed, but it was a single screen theater, had this massive screen. Well, they screened Independence Day starting at midnight on July 4th. My brother, who lives out of town, had come into town to hang out with me and some of my friends on July 4th, and we all got into line to go see Independence Day on that night. I didn't actually make it into the movie. I ended up back at my apartment, but they went and saw it and really enjoyed it. I saw it later at the Uptown, but some very fond memories of that film. So that is sitting at number 1 on the streaming charts. Here's no shocker, I guess. The Beekeeper is sitting at number 2. We have X at number 3, Beverly Hills Cop, Axel Foley at number 4, and Pearl sitting at number 5. And if I'm not mistaken, both Pearl and X are A24 studio movies. So A24, definitely keep your eye on what they're doing. They have got a lot of great stuff coming out. And just to note, number 6, Jaws. Not surprising once again. That's a great kind of midsummer holiday movie that people seem to revisit every single year. Now, in terms of streaming TV shows, we have at number 1, Hulu's The Bear. Prime Video's The Boys is at number 2. Presumed Innocent, that is an Apple TV Plus series. That's at number 3. House of the Dragon, sitting at number 4. That is from Max. And The Acolyte, that is Disney Plus, sitting at number 5. And just a note on this list, Fallout is hanging really, really tough. That is at number 7. That's Prime Video. That one has had some serious staying power for about the last, I want to say, 5 to 6, maybe 7 weeks, which is impressive because these streaming charts, when it comes to TV shows, flip a lot and they flip really fast. But Fallout, that one has hung in there really tight. Okay, and now we are to the part of the show where we talk about our deals of the week, and we're going to start off with discs. And this week, I went and picked out some disc deals that are going to appeal to kids. I mean, kids are home from school right now, unless you're in year-round schools, but most schools here in the U.S. are out. And so here are some disc deals that kids are really going to love. The first one is Shazam, the superhero movie. I believe this one is about 6 years old now, maybe 5 years old, but you can snag Shazam in 4K for just $9 right now over on Amazon. We also have Sonic the Hedgehog in 4K for just $12. Total steal. And the Boss Baby Family Business. I remember the trailer for the Boss Baby. I've never seen this, but it has pretty high reviews on Amazon, but you can snag this in 4K. I might actually have to give this one a watch. You can snag this one in 4K for just $10.97. If you're interested in buying any of these films and you'd like to support the show and our forum at AV Nirvana, you can find links to all three of those discs down in the show notes below. And now for the grand finale, this is our gear deal of the week. This is a big one. Sony's 98-inch X90L 4K Ultra HD TV is on sale right now for a very significant discount. Now, this is an LCD TV that uses full array local dimming LED backlighting. It carries HDMI 2.1 inputs, so you can take advantage of advanced gaming features if you're a gamer, and it has the benefit of being fairly bright, which makes it a good pick for a room with lots of ambient light. Now, to the important thing, and that is the price. Normally, this is an $8,000 TV. It's on sale right now for $4,999. And there's two ways that I suggest you get it. Number one, hit up my buddy Robert Zone over at Value Electronics. If you just go online and Google Value Electronics, you will find his phone number. His store in Scarsdale, New York is really awesome. And he's an independent retailer that I really like supporting. So if you're inclined to buy this TV and you'd like to buy it through Robert, please do so. And if you'd like to support AV Nirvana, you can also buy this directly through Amazon. I'll drop a link to that down in the show notes. So if you'd like to give us a little bit of cash on the side, you can do so through that link. All right, folks, that's all I have for you this week. Until next time, stay positive out there, be kind to each other, and I'll see you over in the forum at avnirvana.com.